squad on the mission, you got to listen. We PoPolitickin, it's so dope when it kick in. You can get in where you fit in. We straight PoPolitickin, the whole squad on the mission, you got to listen. You know what this is when we PoPolitickin. My money long like division, I proposition to put a fist in. We straight PoPolitickin. Hey yo, I rise like the sun in the east, running the streets. Same people that was coming in peace, summon the beast on the microphone. It's never a long and hard task. For God, I'm gon' smash they blog and podcast. Introduction to journalism 101 with Pharaoh PoPolitickin about where I'm from and what I do. What's up? It gotta be good. Interviewing everybody, you know they probably could. Take all the blood, sweat, and tears, working all them years. Put it in 10,000 hours, it empowers careers. From the baby and Megan Thee Stallion to Yo Gotti. High as a kite, jet life currency in the party. With MC Light, J Prince said I rap a lot. Super Saiyan Black Kakarot with a Macintosh laptop and my Apple Watch. Smoking Fraggle Rocks, 4 eyes, got more lines and hooks than a tackle box. What? The whole squad on the mission, you got to listen. We PoPolitickin, it's so dope when it kick in. You can get in where you fit in. We straight PoPolitickin, the whole squad on the mission, you got to listen. You know what this is when we PoPolitickin. My money long like division, I proposition to put a fist in. We straight PoPolitickin.
All right, welcome back to PoPolitickin.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Right now, we're live on YouTube, Twitch, and X. But check me out on Spotify and Apple Music. 1212, I'm in the place to be with Jesse Flores. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. And you have your position in the title. You're the Vice President of Artists and Label Partnerships at Intercept Music.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
All right. So before we're going to go into that, but I just want you to kind of talk about your background a little bit and just let us know about, how long you've been in the music industry.
Yeah. So next year will be my 30th year in the music business, mostly in distribution. I was able to start off in college as a college rep, for PolyGram music back in the day. And it was a part-time gig, but it was a great way of getting my foot in the door because, as a college student in North Central Florida, I wasn't sure how to get in the business, because I knew it would probably have to make a move to either New York or LA, but I was in Florida and I was actually started majoring in music performance when I first got to the University of Florida, but I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do and there was no music business major at the time at the school. So I was able to get on board as a college rep for PolyGram, which is one of the 6 major distribution companies at the time. And for about a year, I was, helping out a lot of the artists that were on labels like Def Jam, Mercury Records, Island Records, and Motown Records, and promoting their projects in my region. Whether it's going to retail stores or, when there are artists in town, we do in stores, we, help out with the shows and set up merch and everything just to gain visibility and gain awareness for each of these new projects that were coming out. And from that point on, I graduated and I was looking for a full-time gig and I got a job offer as a field rep in Detroit and LA. And I chose to move to LA. So right after college, I moved to the West Coast and I've been out here ever since. And it's just been an amazing run at companies like PolyGram, at Universal Music Group. From then I went to EMI Music, then to Ingrooves Music, and now I'm at Intercept Music, which is a global music distributor for independent labels and artists. And it's a great place to be now, especially for an independent artist or label.
So then how old were you when you knew you wanted to work in the music business?
I think I was in college, freshman year in college. I didn't really want to know what path I wanted to follow. And, I always had a passion for music and always a fan. I was with the kids that, basically spent hours in the record stores and listening to records and finding out what was coming out that was new and making sure I had all the latest and greatest. So I was one of those guys. And then when I got to college, I figured out, hey, there's an actual business side of it. There's all these, different companies behind the scenes that make the magic work. And I found out that my lane was going to be distribution. And I kind of took off from there.
And who you got back there? I see 98 Degrees. I think I see some cash money right there.
Yeah, so those were placed from Universal Records when they had a great year. They had
Nelly, okay.
yeah, back in the early 2000s, they had a great run with some amazing artists that they broke that are still relevant today.
And you was a part of them back then?
Yep, I was an artist development rep and a field rep for Universal at the time.
And then what's the one up there? I think that's Barry White, right?
So yeah, this is a PolyGram plaque, and it's basically all the classic catalog titles that were on PolyGram at the time: Motown,
That's
Def
Barry
Jam.
White, right?
Yep, Barry White was on there.
Yeah. Oh, is that the Backstreet one? The one right beside him, the circle, like a circle.
Johnny, nah, that's another Barry White title. But you got like Marvin Gaye and Public Enemy and Slick Rick and Janet, LL, DMX, all the classic catalog titles from PolyGram back in the day.
So you say you worked at A&R?
No, I was in distribution. So basically, we were selling and marketing these records to all the retailers in the U.S.
I remember back in the day. What happened to Selecto Hits?
Selecto Hits, I believe, is still around. They're based out of Memphis. They're still one of the prominent independent distributors are out there.
Yeah, because I'm in California now, but I'm from Mississippi, so I remember them back in the day.
Yeah, they're definitely still around.
So, can you talk about your role now and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm head of artist and label partnerships, and basically, I'm out there, looking for the next and best independent artist or label that need distribution. We got a lot of artists that are going the DIY route, going through like a DistroKid or Intercept is one of those distributors that can provide additional services on top of just getting your music delivered to all the different DSPs or digital service providers out there like the Spotify and the Apple Musics of the world. We help, put together a plan. We're a perfect blend of, I'd say music distro, technology, and customer service where, you can have a distributor, have us distribute your content, but also have somebody in-house you can talk to discuss release strategy, to discuss, type of a marketing plan you want to put together and a strategy, whether it's advertising. There's different tools and analytics that are available in our dashboard that help our labels, figure out, what they want to move with the next single, how they want to market the next project. We have AI incorporated with our dashboard where you can have if you don't have a press release or, a bio, all that can be generated within the dashboard for you for your upcoming releases. So a whole bunch of things that we can help out and help grow our artists and labels business.
Yeah, I work with a few, not work, but I just seen a couple artists. They'll just release it and that's it. Like just keep going. Yeah. And I guess they thinking like, if you build it, it'll come. But I'll be like, no, you gotta do more than that, man.
You gotta do way more than that. You just can't like put something out and expect people to want to listen to it, because the reality is there's so much music being released nowadays. I think the last that I saw was over 150,000 tracks being delivered to Spotify every day that are new. So how can you rise above the noise? How can you separate yourselves from the clutter? And I think a lot of that has to do with devising a plan. It's the music business. So if you want to be in the music business, you got to put together a business plan, put together a strategy for each of these different platforms like Spotify and YouTube to kind of figure out how you can grow your audience there and hopefully, have a hit at the end of the day.
And then I noticed, like I said, some artists, they just put out a project and that's it. But then it's other artists like I remember Lil Nas X, or it's a guy named Zaddy out now. And then it's a guy named, I don't know if you heard that song, like, I'm a decent man from the city of demons. Niggas be watching, niggas be scheming. But anyway, it's viral on social media. But I go back and I'm like, wow, they've been pushing those songs for a year. So you have some people, they work the same song over and over, but then you have sometimes they just put it out. That's it. Don't even put a video out for it or nothing. They just put it out and keep it moving. I'm like, oh, you got to really work that record sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah. And then I saw you worked with it said Royce the 5'9", DJ Premier, Stephen Marley, Stephen Marley. Who else? Who are some of the people you worked with?
Yeah, so a lot of those artists I worked with at Ingrooves, which is now Virgin Music Group. Before then, especially at EMI, I had a great run with some independent artists that were recently coming off their major label deal, and we offered them third-party independent distribution deals, which at the time was not the norm. But we had a lot of success with artists like Ice Cube, Tyrese, Twista, Raekwon, Bobby V, The list just goes on. I mean, we had situations where Tyrese, we gave him his first #1 record. This man had been signed to RCA Records for years. And as soon as he went independent, we were able to deliver a #1 for him. So
which one was that?
this was the
Hey?
Open Invitation album.
What song?
Shame was the first single.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
It was 2011. Yeah.
And then with indie artists today, what do you feel like they need the most help in?
Just everything. I mean, indie artists today, they need to realize that, our business is constantly changing. So you got to learn, you got to attend conferences. You got to read up on all the music tabloids and the websites every day just to know what's going on. I think they need to develop a team around them to help them, basically strategize and make sure that what they're doing is the right thing. And, that's everything from having a good manager to a good distributor, a good attorney, a great publicist, and also someone to handle online marketing and social media strategy, because that's how you're going to reach your fans nowadays. It's no longer the time where the record labels are the gatekeepers and they pretty much handle everything for the artists. Now artists can talk directly to their fans, which could be a curse and a blessing. But, it's a situation where you can immediately impact what you're doing, let them know, and see that instant reaction and get some feedback on, what you're doing, what kind of music you're putting out, what direction you should go, whether they like it or not. Like, all these factors come into play when you're trying to put out new music.
Yeah, then you said the blessing and the curse. Like, yeah, sometimes they don't need to talk and they be talking. They be saying too much. And then how do you feel like streaming changed the industry?
It was definitely a game changer. I mean, now it's amazing how you can just have access to millions of songs in the palm of your hand. When we were growing up, you had to go to a record store to get music, or, you had to listen to the radio and, pop a tape in and record your favorite song with the radio, that kind of thing. Now, I mean, it's just amazing how you can have access to all these tracks and put together playlists and become your own DJ, put together, be your own, editor as far as, cultivating the music that you want to listen to at any time. At the same time, I just don't think like a lot of the artists and the rights holders are getting, the royalties they deserve off of streaming, because it's pennies upon pennies. It's just a fraction of what we used to make back in the day off like a CD or a vinyl sale.
And then I know some labels, because I don't know if you keep up with Young Thug, but he's been talking a lot and they've been playing a lot of his leak audio. But he used to, I think he has Gunner as his artist. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, Gunner wants $20 million from me. And he was like, I'm the reason his album went #1. I spent $50,000 on bots for his album to go #1. And I was like, well, why did you do that? Because you put the false hope in them. And that's why he wanted $20 million. But I was going to ask you just like, what do you feel about how they say, like, even with the Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing, how they saying the bots are influencing a lot of the streams as far as popularity?
Yeah, I think, early on in the streaming era, that was definitely the case where, people would hire, companies that had bots or could kind of manipulate the streams. But all that stuff nowadays is being, cracked down a lot, because, the DSPs and all the platforms they're wise to it. They're hip to it. They know exactly if you have 10,000 streams in some little tertiary market in Texas, 10,000 one week and then it's like 0 the next, something funny's going on there. So what they'll do is they'll just take the track down, which you definitely don't want, because then you can't get it back up on that platform. So I think initially, obviously with the Young Thug and Gunna case, maybe he did use bots and to kind of get the hype up, but now clearly it worked, because Gunna's a official established artist now, and now he has a leverage to ask for $20 million because he's got hit records.
Right. And then what makes do you prefer working with new talent or established talent, or breaking a new artist?
I like working with both, but there's nothing like working with a new artist that has the goods, that has that talent, that when you hear their music, the hair on your neck stands up and you're like, oh man, this is going to be crazy. And you're one of the first people to hear it. And then to see it blow up like a Nelly. When Nelly first came out, nobody knew who he was, but we got the advanced CD, popped it in, and it just sounded different than anything else I ever heard. And then you realize they go to radio with the first single and it blows up, and you just see that his trajectory grow from like, say 12 months, like one year in 2000, he's a nobody, just an up and coming artist. And a year later, he's all over the radio with multiple hits and he's got platinum records. So being a part of that kind of journey is definitely going to be something that I'm always going to cherish.
And then what do you look for when you work with new artists?
The work ethic for sure. Obviously the music, it's got to be there. It's got to move you. The realization that, this is a business and not just the music. We're not trying to really work with artists that are just solely focused on the creative. And if they are, that's cool. But then they have a manager that's going to take care of the business side of things and work with us and be that liaison that's going to help them realize that this is what you need to do to really take your career to the next level. You need to, shout out all the DSPs on social media on release week. You need to come up with a plan, for each of the different platforms so you can figure out a way to grow your audience because, on Spotify, a lot of labels will look at the, the followers and the listener count and the amount of streams that they get per project. They'll look at the release flow. You want to make sure you're consistent with that. You don't want to put something out and then not put anything out for 4 years and then try to come back out again expecting to have all those fans be there again. That's not going to happen. There's just so much happening nowadays. So little things like that, put together, basically you look at all that and you want to sit down with your team and just, strategize and really come up with the best way to market your music, put your best foot forward and trying to gain those fans that'll be there for the entire career.
Yeah, you just mentioned like how they're not going to wait for you for like three years, but it is one artist that we've been waiting on for a long time, and it look like she about to come out. So, what do you feel about how like Cardi B?
Yeah,
and her rollout so far with this new albums coming out.
Well, Cardi B, I would consider an outlier because she first got her fame through reality TV. And then, when she started releasing music, she blew up with her first single, which rarely happens. Bodak Yellow, which just blew up everywhere. And the thing with her also is that she's really in tune with her fan base through social media. Like she's constantly posting and they're constantly engaged. And she's always making like, appearances as well. And then she's always in the news, with her relationship and, just everything going on with her life. Like she's somebody that I would consider like an artist / socialite. Like she's out there, like, she makes it known her life's not really private. A lot of her stuff in life is out there, personal and business wise. So when she comes out with music, people are always going to be checking for her because she's always, wanting to put out music, but it's always delayed for whatever reason. So they're being a part of the journey. She's engaging her fans. So that's always a plus when you're an artist and you have fans that want to know what's happening and are constantly engaged.
And then who's some of your favorite artists?
Like right now, I'm listening to a lot of. I'm listening to the Clips album. I'm listening to Benny the Butcher's new project. JID, he's got a new project. Gunna's got a new project. I'm looking forward to Jermaine Dupri's new project. I got a place in Atlanta, and I grew up in the South, so I'm always checking for stuff that JD does, and also like some songs with the Metro Boomin project that just came out a few weeks ago.
Okay. And what makes a good partnership between the artist and the label in your eyes?
Definitely effective communication, making sure that, we're mutual partners in this relationship and that, we want to know what you have coming out, what you're working on. You can always bounce things off of us to see if it makes sense. Anything that helps to grow both partners successfully. I mean, when it comes to having a relationship with an artist or a label and you're independent, you got to work that much harder to get where you want to be. So making sure that you have a partner in house that you trust and that, is going to help, take it to the next level. That's always going to be top of mind and something that you want to make sure that you develop going forward.
And what's some of the biggest trends in hip hop and R&B that you see right now that excite you?
I think definitely the cross-pollination of genres. You see a lot of artists mixing genres, whether you're hip hop or Afro beats, or even some of the Latin artists are getting on that trend as well. So just the mixing of the genres. And then another trend that, is also out there that's probably going to be discussed for a very long time is AI and the way it's incorporated within music. I think AI, when it comes to content creation and creating music, might not be the best thing because you're missing the soul. You're missing, actual person being involved and creating that emotion that comes with making a record. We definitely support AI over at Intercept when it comes to marketing. Creating a marketing plan or a bio or a press release, that stuff, it definitely comes in handy. But when it comes to music creation, we definitely want the human element involved for sure.
Have you been keeping up with Timberland and his artists?
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been getting on him in them comments though, but it's kind of looking tight how he doing it though. But then at the same time, I guess a lot of people feel like because he had a show where he was people were sending in the music, so they feel like all them artists that was submitting music and you was talking to, you couldn't work with them. You got AI artists, but their music kind of hidden though. But I guess what he's saying is like he's saying like he has a team behind him that's building the music through AI.
Right.
So it's not just like you know. So I guess that's the kind of difference. But people ain't listening to that shit. They still on them.
Yep.
And then so what's next for you in Intercept Music right now?
Man, we're just trying to build. We're trying to find the right artists, the right partners to continue to grow our business. I think in the next year or two, we're definitely poised to have some exponential growth within the business. So, we're mentioned alongside with other distributors like The Orchard and, Empire and United Masters. Intercept Music is going to be right there. So that's the plan. We're also expanding outside of just distribution deals. We're looking to do some catalog acquisitions. So if there are any artists out there that have a catalog and they want to sell, that's something we're interested as well.
And let's say, so how long have y'all been out so far?
As far as the company, Intercept's been around since 2018.
Okay. And then who's the CEO?
So we have two CEOs. One co-CEO is Ralph Tashian. He started the company. He's been around a long time in the music biz. And our other co-CEO, who's also one of the founders, is Todd Turner, who comes from the tech world. So it goes along with our mantra of having the perfect blend of technology and music. When you have the two heads of the company that come from both backgrounds, it's definitely a positive.
And then where are y'all based right now?
So the home office is based in San Fran, but we have people all around the world. We have people in Mexico, in the U.S., some overseas, in Spain, so all over.
Then you might have mentioned this, but who are some of the artists y'all working with right now?
So I think one of the artists that's really priority right now for us is Cali Ranks. He's a dancehall reggae artist. Used to be signed to Def Jam. He's got a new album coming out. We got an artist out of Boston named AO Sketch that's doing pretty well, hip-hop artist. He just dropped some new music. And then we got a couple of things that I would love to mention, but we're just not there yet as far as getting the signature on the dotted line that are established artists as well that hopefully next week or two I can announce.
All right. So I got some rapid-fire questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
This was the first concert you ever attended?
It was the Jackson's Victory Tour in Houston, Texas at the Astrodome.
Damn, all right.
Yeah.
That's a nice concert for your first one.
Amazing. I mean, I was very little and we had nosebleed seats, but it was amazing. It was my first concert ever. It was packed too.
So vinyl, CD, or streaming?
I would say CD. I'm from the CD era, and I still got all my CDs. I have my collection over here right now, and I would say the CDs just because I'm a '90s kid.
Did you go through Columbia House to get your CDs?
I did not. I preferred actually going to the record stores, putting on those headphones and listening to the CDs and going through the bins.
Yeah, that was nice. I remember those times too. Mm-hmm. And then who was the most underrated artist that you met?
Oh man, that's a great question. Oh, underrated artist that I've met. To be honest, he's not really underrated, but I just think he's undervalued, and that's DJ Premier. Like, the guy's a living legend. Like, he's a humble guy, but the success that he's had and the artists he's worked with is just priceless. Like, anytime I'm around him, and he tells his stories, I just sit there and listen like a kid at a campfire because he's just been through all the decades of hip hop that I'm aware of, and worked with everybody. So he's got a story to tell always, and he's just an amazing producer to boot. So I'll say Premier.
Your favorite city for music?
I like Atlanta. The energy is always there in Atlanta. Like, I just love the spirit and how they support their own artists and how many successful artists come from that territory. But I'd say Atlanta, even from like the early '90s when I was a kid, Atlanta was always a hot place and a hotbed for music.
What's your favorite Atlanta song? Give us your top 3 Atlanta songs.
Oh wow. Top 3 Atlanta songs without going into my elaborated check. I would say I'll put a T.I. song. I like ASAP. I like Outkast. I would go with Get Up, Get Out from Outkast with Goody Mob. And then one of the song I would go with I'll go with the Future song. I will go with Itchin' from Future. I like Itchin'.
You know, you a coffee or tortilla? Tequila. My bad. I said tortilla. Tequila. Shit.
Coffee or tequila? Honestly, neither. Yeah, I don't really mess with it. Yeah, I like dark liquor, and I don't really drink coffee. Yeah.
All right. And if you wasn't in music, what would you be doing?
I really love sports, mainly football. So I would say I'd probably be in the background or behind the scenes at one of the major college football programs as like a head of player development or something like that.
Who your college team?
I went to University of Florida, so I'm a diehard Florida Gator.
Y'all just lost by lost to a sorry team, huh?
So disappointed.
I was like, damn, how y'all lost to them? Y'all lost to like what's that team?
Like, we lost to USF, which my brother.
I was like, what?
Yeah, I have a brother that went to USF, and I got that call immediately after that game. But yeah, man, I went to University of Florida when we had Steve Spurrier, so we were on top of the world when I was in school and winning championships every year. But now it's just a different story, man. It ebbs and flows, so hopefully we'll be back on top.
And then I wanted you to describe like how's your average day right now?
Average day is pretty busy, but I have it pretty well structured. You know, I wake up and I go through all the different websites and trades just to get caught up on the latest news. So that's hits billboardbiz.com, Music Business Worldwide. I go to Variety. I go to Hollywood Reporter. Just get caught up on all the news. Obviously the timelines on X and Twitter and all that. And then I set up a lot of meetings in the morning as well. So conference calls and Zoom meetings in the morning. And then in the afternoon is when I like to do a lot of offsite meetings. So that's when I go and, meet with whether it's a lawyer or a manager or an artist meeting at the studio. I try to do that in the afternoons or early evenings.
All right. Then what do you want the people to know about you?
I want them to know that Intercept Music is open for business, and we're looking for the next greatest artist and label. So definitely they can reach out to me via email or hit us up on our socials, and I'll give that at the end of the interview. But yeah, definitely that we're open for business, and want to help you grow your business. So that's pretty much the bottom line.
And then does age matter to you?
Not really, because there's all different genres of music, so we're open to everything. I think with hip hop, it tends to lean a little bit younger, but great music is great music. As long as you create music in your mind, you try to create music that's timeless and that's undeniable. That can be made at any age. So we're definitely open.
Yeah, I'm interested in that catalog. You say you can get the catalog acquisition.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of artists, when they do sell their catalogs, you think what's the purpose of that? They just need the money now, or?
Yeah, it could be that, or they're just maybe they're at the twilight of their career and they want to focus on their family or something else and want to move on, but they have this great catalog of music that's evergreen, that's always going to resonate and be of value, and they just want to cash in basically and sell the rights to their catalog to a third party. And kind of live their life and not have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I was reading this article and they was talking about how Michael Jackson is still the top earning artist.
Absolutely.
Like through all the catalogs he earned and everything. He acquired because he owned like the Beatles. I think he owned Eminem shit. Damn, that's his shit. So I was like, man, I don't know. I be thinking, some shady shit probably went down with Michael just off that. Because like, who getting all that money now? Because I wonder if his family getting that money. Who's getting that money? Like Prince and Whitney Houston. Like, how do they get do you know how that works? Like when the artists like that pass away, and how do they collect their royalties and stuff?
Yeah, so usually when an artist passes away, they have an estate. So then they have somebody that or an executor that kind of heads up that estate. So they'll be handling all the business affairs. Duties going forward. So say like, somebody wants to license a Prince song, they would have to, go to whoever owns his copyright now for that particular track and request permission, and also get permission from the estate as well to get approval to move forward. So there's always somebody that's head of that estate that's going to make all the decisions going forward after the untimely passing of the artist.
Yeah, allegedly they were saying, I know Biggie's mom passed away, and then Faith got the royalties, but she sold it, but I guess she forgot to pay the estate still. So I know they were talking about that.
Yeah, because I think Biggie's daughter or son
Right.
are heads of the estate now. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, then how important is that for an artist to like try to because you know how, especially in hip hop, how like a lot of artists are pass away quicker than they should. How important is that to set up a estate or like a fund or something? Is that legal rights behind the music they can do or something, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to be an artist, but yeah, everybody, once they get to a certain age, should definitely have like a will or a trust where they, if something does happen, their assets or whatever they own, their royalties, they get obviously transferred to who you want them to transfer to without having to go to court or probate or anything. So all that's definitely very important. And, once you get to a certain age, I'd say at this point, even 40s, have that plan in mind so you can make sure that everything's set up for when you do go.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming through Politickin with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's been amazing.
No doubt. You want to tell me your social media and everything like that?
Yeah. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can hit me directly on email. You can reach me at jesse.flores@interceptmusic.com. You can hit us up on our website, interceptmusic.com, or on IG at interceptmusicofficial.
All right. No doubt. All right. Till next time, y'all. We out. Peace. I'll be back next week, I think. Yeah, I'll be back I'll be back tomorrow. I got an interview tomorrow, so check me out. And any indie artists, any indie artists that need distribution, they need to be checking you out too, Jesse.
Definitely hit me up.
All right, y'all. We out till the next time. I think it's want to end.